I knew a guy once called Bill Weems. A lot of people knew him in the Boston advertising industry where I came from, really. I was a young copywriter on the Volkswagen account, and I was sent on an assignment to the West Coast for the Jetta wagon. And Bill was such a charming, wonderful, funny guy. He was so warm. And I remember we just became fast friends, and it was very intense. We worked together a lot. We were around each other 20, I don't know, it felt like 20 hours a day, but we talked and we talked. And I remember a huge part of our conversation was always terrorism, because I had come from Israel, and this was at the time where there were so many terrorist attacks in Israel. They were blowing up buses, suicide bombings, and he had never been outside of America. It was like almost he was such a naive, wonderful man. He was young. He was young in spirit. And so many of our conversations revolved around terrorism. And he'd never met an Israeli. He didn't know what terrorism was like. He didn't understand it. And he was so curious. Like, how could people do such a thing? And how can you live with it? And I was just like, look, we live with it because we have to, because there's some crazy people out there. And I explained to him that it wasn't about Palestinians and about Israelis. It was about fundamentalists. It was about Islamic jihad. It was about the willingness to give yourself, to give your life for a perverted cause, not Islam, radical Islam, fundamentalist Islam. We were so used to it in Israel and as Jewish people around the world. And I said, but Bill, it's going to come here, because radical Islam doesn't differentiate between Jews and others. Anyone who doesn't follow their way of thinking, they don't discriminate. It's going to come. I don't know if you ever believed me. It felt so far away. And then 9/11 happened, and Bill was on one of the planes. And I know, and this is what kills me, I know that he was thinking about all of our conversations. And I wish to God that he wasn't on that plane, and but I just know that he was thinking. Eitan called it. I still think of Bill, and I put out a film that I made that I'll put in the first link of this video. Every year around 9/11, I still remember Bill. But I want you guys to remember something. The non-Jewish people in the world, what's going on right now, everything that happened in Israel, the massacres, I'm not talking about the Israeli response and their efforts to try and eradicate Hamas, not the Palestinians, but Hamas from the face of this planet, who are exactly like Al-Qaeda, maybe even worse, who brought the fight to America. It's coming to America. It's already in America. There are people who support Hamas openly in America on college campuses, even here on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, openly. Wake up. Read. Don't just listen to short snippets of videos to get your information about what you think this conflict is. Read up about Islamic fundamentalism. And know that if you don't stand up to it, which is what we're doing right now, not just the Israelis, but every single Jew around the planet is a target. If you don't stand up with us, then don't be surprised when something big happens in America or in Europe or anywhere else in the world. We're on the front line. That's what I was trying to tell Bill. And I think he understood it in the end in the worst possible way. And it makes me so sad to know that he was thinking about our conversations when that plane hit the tower and he was in it. Anyway, just think about it.